G'day guys, Michael Clarke here. Welcome back to the podcast. Please remember to subscribe and follow us and give us a 5-star rating at Beyond 23 Cricket Pod, YouTube, Spotify and Instagram. We love all our fans. We love all of our friends and we need to continue to grow. So thanks for your support and thanks for being a part of it.
There was 18 rain delays, I
Yeah,
think,
I know.
which is insane.
And it's a player's nightmare, let me tell you. Whether you're a batsman or a bowler, rain delays are a player's nightmare. I just got off an aeroplane. I looked at my phone and I've seen apparently Nathan McSweeney has been dropped.
It's the lack of future planning for me that I've got a problem with this. That, like you said, there's so many oldies. We're not pulling up any of these youngsters. You might be getting Constance into this position. Sure, there's another youngster, but there's a lot of players within the next 2 years won't be there.
India are chasing the ball a little bit with Travis Head. I think if I'm bowling to Travis Head, I'm being aggressive as I can early when he first comes to the crease. I would be attacking the stumps, even go around the wicket and try and get him bowled LB or nicking one that he's trying to block. Melbourne and Sydney suit India a lot more than the first 3 test matches. So Australia has their work cut out. They have to be at their best. Big week, Georgie. Big week.
It's not been as big a week for us as the groundskeepers
Man.
the GABBA.
You know what, though? I'll say this. It was still such an exciting test match, even though there was so much rain.
Right.
And the curators at the GABBA deserve so much credit.
100%.
Now, I saw a photo, must have been on the morning of day 2. The whole ground was like shin high, deep water. If you go back 50 years, that's game over for 6 months. You're not using that ground for 6 months. These guys do a wonderful job. So I know we didn't get a result and there was a draw, but I just want to give the curators at the GABBA and all around Australia a shout out. They do a great job.
There was 18 rain delays, I
Yeah,
think,
I know.
which is insane.
And it's a player's nightmare, let me tell you. Whether you're a batsman or a bowler, rain delays are a player's nightmare.
We will get into that because it completely changed the tactics of the game, and we'll get into that. But before, we'll call out some of our comments and fans. And here's one. This is from T1000H4K. Clarkey's hoodie game is off the charts, and you nearly didn't have this when you came in and nearly went a little bit nuts.
I love my hoodies.
Yeah.
Hoodies and trainers.
It's the middle of summer, mate.
That's okay. In here, the aircon's on. I'm nice and cold. Hoodies and trainers. They're my weakness. We've all got our weaknesses. They're probably mine. So thank you, T1000H4K, for your shout out. Very kind.
My weakness is a big wicket into the stumps and the death rattle behind.
Love someone getting bowled.
Here's a question for you. This is from Stuart Law and Order. Clarkey, with Scott Boland coming back in, obviously Hazelwood being injured, during your playing career, was there ever a player who wasn't cemented a best 11 across tests, ODIs or T20s, but when they came in, provided real value to the team? That's Boland.
Yeah, Scotty Boland does do that. I feel for Scotty because really, if everybody's fit and healthy, he's Australia's 4th best fast bowler.
Yeah.
So
And only
he has to,
by this much.
It's so close.
Yeah.
In Australia, there's even a conversation, does he slide into the top 3? But these 3, Hazelwood, Stark, Cummins have done a wonderful job for a long period of time. The one that stands out for me is Andy Bickle. Mm-hmm. I think Andy Bickle has been or was 12th man more than any other player for Australia. But every time he got an opportunity, and there was no T20s back then, but in one-day cricket or test cricket, he did exceptionally well.
Yeah.
He was on every tour, and he was a great bloke to have around the group. And it seems to me that Scotty Boland has a similar personality to Andy Bickle. Very much a team man and will do anything for anyone else. So seems like he's going to play, though. Seems like he's definitely playing Boxing Day with Hazelwood being injured once again. And it seems like he'll certainly play Sydney. I think Josh is out of the series now.
Yeah, he is. And speaking of list changes, news out is that McSweeney will be out. And you have some thoughts around that.
I just got off an aeroplane. I looked at my phone and I've seen apparently, I think it's the Sydney Morning Herald has reported that McSweeney, Nathan McSweeney has been dropped. Now, I can't believe that. If that is the case,
let's go with it is. Hypothetically, he's dropped. How are you feeling about that?
I would be very disappointed if I was Nathan McSweeney. I said at the time, no matter who they picked in that opening position, no matter who that picked, they had to give them the series. Now you're opening the batting in Perth, day-night test in Adelaide, and the GABBA. toughest places not in Australia, toughest places in the world to open the batting. He made an unreal 40 in Adelaide. That will be the toughest batting conditions he'll ever face in his career. Swing, seam, Bumrah running into bowl as a guy who's played, that was his second test match. I just don't, I think the selectors have got this wrong. If they have dropped him, we've got Usman Khawaja who's just turned 38. Uzi's made no runs. He's a senior player. You know, we've got Marnus Labuschagne we're talking about before the series, before he made a 60. He's made no runs. Smitty batted like a genius and made a hard-fought 100 here, but he's been under pressure. Mitchell Marsh is in the team and he's the all-rounder at 6. He bowled 2 overs in the test match.
And not scoring runs.
Everyone apart from Nathan McSweeney's over 30 years of age and high 30s. What are we going to do here? Are we going to continue to, give a youngster, 2 or 3 games, drop him, try someone else, and keep these older players? And then what happens if Usman Khawaja in 2 test matches retires? Does McSweeney then come back in, or does he go to the back of their queue? If it's true they've dropped him, they've got to come out and say, we made a mistake picking him.
Yeah.
Which is, it could end his career. Like, this could end Nathan McSweeney's career. I don't think it's the right decision if they have dropped him. I don't think it's fair. I think they picked him. He deserved the summer. It's
the lack of future planning for me that I've got a problem with this. That, like you said, there's so many oldies. We're not pulling up any of these youngsters. You might be getting Constance into this position. Sure, there's another youngster, but there's a lot of players within the next 2 years won't be there.
But you can't.
You're looking at Hazelwood's an example of how bodies break down, and once they break down fast. One of these players over 35, you're one injury away from not playing again.
Selecting a player and selecting your team is not about right here this minute. There's a lot more that goes into it. If they are picking Sam Constance, they had the chance to pick him before a ball was bowled in the summer, and they went McSweeney. So if it's because Sam's gone out and made 100 in the PM's 11 off not many balls and smacked it, and then he's made 50 in a BBL game, and now all of a sudden he's jumping McSweeney. McSweeney didn't play the PM's 11.
No.
McSweeney didn't play a BBL game.
He's playing Bumrah in Adelaide.
That is not how you select a team.
Yeah.
I'll be so disappointed if this is the case. I think it's unfair on Nathan. I hope it doesn't impact his career long term. Look, you want to make runs. He's not the only one not making runs. He's batting in the toughest conditions in Australia against a very, very good bowler, the number 1 bowler in the world. I feel for him. I really do.
That was my next question. Would have you changed any of the 11 coming into, obviously besides Hazelwood, would have you changed any of the
I
batsmen?
don't think I would have, no. Look, and that's the other thing as well why I'm so strong on this. This is just my opinion. I'm very much pick and stick until you get to a stage. And the stage is this. If you're losing, it's harder to keep your players. It's harder to fight for your team as a captain if your team's losing. The selectors will only hear so much. Or if a player is really out of form and not making runs for a long period of time. But I'm certainly not an in-out selector. If I'm picking Nathan McSweeney at the start of this series and we are 1-all in the series, we're not 3-zip down, we're 1-all, I'm picking the same 11 for Melbourne. Now, we can't pick the same 11 because Hazelwood's out, so I'm making one change and I'll be bringing Scott Boland back in.
This is also a must-win test for us to be able to win this trophy back. If we lose this, we can't win the trophy, so you're going to be putting in a
Georgie,
youngster.
Can I tell you this?
No.
Every test I played was a must-win test.
Of course,
Every
but there's
time
more...
I walked out onto that field, what I'm saying is if their justification is dropping Nathan McSweeney because this is a must-win test, mate, you're living in dream world.
That's my reason for not dropping him.
100%.
You're putting a guy who's never played test on Boxing Day of all tests, by the way.
But also, let me say this. Sam Constance, if he got selected before a ball was bowled, if he got selected for the first test, I'm backing him to the hilt. If he gets picked for this test, I'm backing him. But I don't think he should be picked for Nathan McSweeney. If they want Sam in, there's a lot of places they can be looking. You can't drop a youngster after 3 test matches. I don't think that's fair.
How long do you think you should get of teething time when you first come into a side? A whole series?
Well, there's no rule around it, but when you're playing in tough batting conditions like this, like the batting conditions in the MCG will be better to bat, and SCG will be better to bat than what you've just seen as a top order batter. They're generally flatter wickets. But I think as a young player, you've got to be given the series. Definitely. I think it's a... I don't think that does anyone's confidence the world of good, getting, here you go, have a go, and then you get 3 chances. Well, and again, you can't even count the second innings at the Gabba. They're trying to smack it to put runs on the board. So really,
And Perth was a completely different match to the
they had
second.
5 bats.
Yeah.
I just think, I don't know. I don't think that's the right decision. I don't think that's fair on Nathan. I don't think Australia needs to do that. I don't think it's Nathan McSweeney not making runs that is the reason that we're 1-1 in this Test series. If there's no rain around, we're in a great position to win this Test. So we're probably 2-1 up going into Boxing Day with Nathan McSweeney at the top of the order. I just don't. I don't understand why they are going this way. They're dropping him, a good young player who's coming up against the best bowler in the world in tough batting conditions. They're dropping him after 3 Test matches. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people with those thoughts behind them as well. Let's think of the Gabba though. So that rain, frustrating as anything, conditions to watch, to play, to be involved with. What happens in the rain delays?
Yeah, like I said, rain delays, Georgie, not fun for anyone as a cricketer.
Some I can imagine are a little bit better at handling it than others.
Maybe the older you get, you're a little more patient. But it's hard, firstly, to play. It's hard as a batsman, breaks in your concentration. So you get some momentum as a batter, and then you got to go off the field. So then you got to start your innings again. That's not fun. As a bowler, you do all your warm-up, stretching, preparation, go out and bowl, come off the field for an hour, you cool down, you got to warm up again. So it's not fun going back onto the field. And then off the field, it's chaos.
Yeah.
You got little groups. Like when I played, you would have a group that would play cards. You'd have a group that would be sitting in the corner talking absolute rubbish. You'd find something else on the TV.
Someone having a nap.
You'd be eating. Some would be sleeping. But the other thing as well these days, you know how addicted we all are to our phones.
And you don't get your phone.
You're not allowed a mobile phone in the cricket change room. So the boys would be going nuts. They would be going insane.
Some crosswords, some Sudokus.
Steve Smith would be doing crosswords.
Yeah.
He loves his crosswords. The biggest pest when we got rained off in the teams I played with was Glenn McGrath.
Oh, really?
He couldn't sit still. So he'd be one of the ones that would be like throwing things at you in the corner, or, you know, he'd get a little black marker and would go around and sign like your bat or your gloves. And you wouldn't notice. You'd walk out to bat and you'd see Glenn McGrath's autograph on your gloves. Like he
worth something.
He could not sit still, Pidge. So, yeah, we always wanted to be on the field rather than off the field.
Now, I've got a question in regards to tea breaks, lunch breaks, all those on rain delay matches. Why are they taking a tea break when it's sunny and they've just come off?
The rules around some things when it comes to cricket don't seem to make too much sense. Common sense is not so common, Georgie. So, yeah, there's rules around the breaks that they can be moved half an hour forward or half an hour back.
But only...
I don't think you can change lunch. I think lunch can't be changed. So, yeah, you sit and it rains for 2 hours. And then
you play 3 overs.
Then the sun comes out and you got to take lunch. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to us either.
Can you ever go, nah, we don't need lunch today?
No. Well, you never need lunch. If you got a chance to be out in the field and play and try and win, mate, I'll eat after the game. I'll have a bigger breakfast, thanks. So, yeah, it's the way it goes. It's one of the frustrating things around cricket. And then the other thing we had as well, we had no rain, but we had lightning. So there's a rule that, you know, what do they call it? The 30-30 rule. If you clap your hands and it's 30 seconds away, you got to be off for 30 minutes. Like, it's just, I just think it was really frustrating for the fans. I know that. And it would have been just as frustrating for the players, and particularly the Aussies, because
we were on top.
They were on top. The fact they got sent in, made a very good score in that first innings. And there's parts of that, you know, that were a little confusing to me as well around tactics of the game. So I was interested to see if Rohit Sharma was going to, if he won the toss, was he going to bat first like he did in the first 2 tests? I was surprised he bowled first, but I think what happened was, like a lot of touring teams, you see a bit of grass on the wicket and it was overcast. You thought, I'm going to bowl here. Now, the wicket did seem a little bit, but it was very slow. Generally at the Gabba, that's when you want to bat because you got time to adjust in your shot selection. Yeah. The next day when it quickens up, you don't have that time. That's when you edge it. So I was interested to see which way Rohit went. That's the way he went. The other thing I was interested with was Pat Cummins, after day 2 being washed out, deciding to go back out and bat on day 3. Now, yes, runs are important.
We'd already had her at 400.
Time is way more important in the game. And it seems to me, looking at what happened with the weather, he would have communicated with the curator, said, what's the forecast for the week? How are we looking for the day's play? Knowing there's so much rain around, I did not understand why he decided to go back out and make an extra 30 runs. 30 runs or 2 wickets. I know which one I would have preferred.
Yeah.
So I was surprised by that as well.
Yeah. Also the tactics on how they were bowling to the tail enders, it seemed so short. Nothing at the stumps, nothing at their feet. And so the 10 and 11, putting on an extra 40 runs, making it that they weren't able to do a follow-on, that's something that we need to tidy up.
Well, you tell me, from a viewer's perspective, how frustrating is that when you sit there and watch Australia can get the best batters out, but you can't get the last 2 batters out?
Oh, did my head in watching that. And you know how much of a Pat Cummins fan I was, but I am. But I'm just watching this going, I would dream of a ball going on the stumps right now, just in line with it. Everything was so high and short. And so I'm just getting so frustrated when you're watching the 10-11 hitting better than our top order.
Sometimes as a player, because you've worked so hard to get the top 6 out, you expect certainly the tail end, as the last 2, to sort of fall over, right? Yeah. So it's a lapse of concentration, or it's not that same energy, or it's an expectation. But again, I think India's tail deserve a lot of credit.
Yep.
I think the way they just found a way to hang in there and pass that follow on, like really.
They knew how big a deal that was.
And you could see in the change room, I think there was coach, captain, and Virat Kohli, most senior player. They were up celebrating like they'd won the test match. Now, I know they didn't win the test match and Australia was on top, and Australia does take momentum, in my opinion, into the Boxing Day test match. They're on top slightly at the moment. But what I understand with India's reaction, Melbourne and Sydney test matches will suit India more than the first 3. If you had said to India when they arrived in Australia, it's 1-1 after Perth, day-nighter in Adelaide, and Brisbane test, are you taking that?
Yeah.
They would be doing backflips because they know our record of late in Melbourne hasn't been great. And Sydney is a wicket that spin plays a bigger part.
And they only need one. They only need one because a draw is good enough for them, right?
I could understand their reaction. I could understand their excitement. And again, I'm a big believer in, the rain frustrates me because I hate seeing a draw. I want to see a winner and a loser in any sporting event. But in cricket, you can have a draw. And sometimes it can feel like a win because the key is winning the series, not just that test match.
And there's not as many draws as there used to be. I think I read there's only been 2 draws this year in test cricket because most cricket's now going for 4 days. Now,
exactly right.
I'm going to ask you, who right now, after 3 tests, has been the player of the series so far, Bumrah or Head? I think it can only be one of those 2. Bumrah's taking all the wickets for India. Head's getting all our runs.
Bumrah for India, Head for Australia, and 1-1. So, look, they're both been brilliant. I think we spoke about how I would face Bumrah if I was the Australian batters the other day. So if I think about Travis Head, at the moment I feel like India are chasing the ball a little bit with Travis Head. I think if I'm bowling to Travis Head, I'm being aggressive as I can early when he first comes to the crease. I'm attacking the stumps. So because of the way he plays, tries to drive balls that are probably not there at the start of the innings, plays and misses balls. A lot of people think bowl outside off stump, hang it outside off stump, he's going to nick one. If you do that, you're taking out LBW, you're taking out bowled, and you're probably bringing in caught in the slips, or if you can hit one to cover or something like that. I would be attacking the stumps, even go around the wicket and try and get him bowled LB or nicking one that he's trying to block. The other thing I wouldn't be doing to someone like Travis Head is caring about runs. I'm not setting a field to protect runs. He's going to play that way. He's going to hit 4s. He's going to hit 6s. I don't care about that. He can get 40 off 20 balls if he's out. I don't want to make 140. So I'd be thinking, how am I getting Travis Head out rather than how am I saving runs? At the moment, I feel like India are looking to put men on the boundary to prevent runs. I'd be attacking the stumps, especially someone like Bumrah. He's very good round the wicket, straight at the pegs. I think he got him out. He might have bowled him in the first test in Perth like that. Round the wicket, attack the stumps, good length, good line, and say to Travis Head, if you want to play shots, go for your life. We've got fielders in position for the one you edge or the one you miss time. If you hit it out of the middle and it goes in the gap, congratulations. And good players, when they're in form and confident, sometimes you've also got to stand and clap and say, Travis Head, well played.
What's he doing so well at the moment? Why is he batting so well?
His theory is the better the bowling, the more aggressive I'm going to be. Yeah. And sometimes I think that's the way to go. He's thinking, if I sit here and block, I'm going to get one with my name on it. They're going to get me out. So I'm going to get you before you get me.
Yeah.
And that's the way he's played in shorter formats as well. And he's had success. So he's confident doing that. But India need to be disciplined. Just stay disciplined. Ball after ball. Don't try too much. Travis Head, he's going to take a risk. He's going to give you a chance. You're going to get an opportunity. Hang on to that catch.
And Ashwin has just retired.
Yeah, wow.
He's a real legend of the game, isn't he?
He's a great man, Ravi Ashwin. He's been a wonderful player. I think he's been an ambassador for cricket, not just for Indian cricket. I'm super surprised he's announced it now. I thought he would have either, retired before the series in front of his Indian fans and the Indian media or at the end of the series. I guess I'm probably surprised because I know he's still got so much to offer. He's still a wonderful bowler, one of the toughest off spinners I played against. His record's phenomenal, but he's a lovely guy as well. And I think Rohit Sharma said in the press conference, he'll miss his leadership around the group. He reads the game very well. He loves the game. And I think as a leader, you want people like that in your change room. So, look, unbelievable career. I sent him a message the other day to congratulate him. I think he should be super proud. Yeah. And he can certainly walk away from the game with his head held high.
Yeah, I think that he'd have a promising media career on the other side with the way that he sees the game.
Well, the other thing, or he could go into coaching.
Yeah.
Because he loves cricket. He sees the game, especially tactically. I've watched him captain over in the IPL. He's got a great eye for the game. So I hope for cricket's sake, he stays involved, whether that's media or into coaching. I think it's a big loss for cricket.
I was about to say, you don't want to lose a player that has that much love and respect for the game on the other side of it. So hopefully he finds where he fits on the other side of cricket for him. Let's get into predictions for the fourth test. Boxing Day itself sold out. So expect 90-odd thousand there. You'd expect at the MCG. The result for the fourth test? You've been pretty good so far. And Australia would have won the last one.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, no, they would have won the last
result
one.
For the fourth test.
Okay, I'm going heart overhead. I'm going Australia are winning.
Mm-hmm. Player with the most runs? How can you go past Travis Head at the moment?
Nah, not because I reckon Bumrah's just listening to my podcast and he's going to get him out the way he got him out in the first test.
That's fair.
I'm going to go. I think Steve Smith will make a double 100.
Poof.
I'm going to go Steve Smith for Australia leading run scorer in the test match.
Yeah. India most
India.
runs.
I hope Rohit's listening. I'm going the skipper.
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma, big 100.
And
I think he likes the MCG. I think it'll suit his game. I think he's going to walk out there and play his shots. I'm going the skipper for India to lead the way for India.
And the wicket taker from both teams. India wicket taker.
Bumrah, India, leading wicket taker.
He's the only one that's getting wickets.
He's just been the standout bowler in both teams. He's just been the standout. And he looks so dangerous. Like, he looks like he can take a wicket every ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go Bumrah, leading wicket taker for India. For Australia, I'm going to say it's Nathan Lyon's turn.
Yeah.
I want to say Nathan Lyon
is going to... He's not being used much?
No, he hasn't bowled much at all. That's the other thing as well. Nathan Lyon, Mitchell Marsh, Marnus Labuschagne leg spin, not medium pace. Travis Head off spin.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we haven't used them as much as well. I know we were on and off. I know the conditions were conducive for fast bowling.
Yeah.
Hazelwood went down. Look, and everyone captain's different. It's just personal opinion, but I don't think you use a bowler in order. You don't go opening bowler, first change, spinner, or rounder. That's not how I used to use a bowler. Sometimes your spinner could open the bowling or bowl first change, come on in a test match in the fifth over. Mitchell Marsh is a wicket taker. Mitchell Marsh doesn't need to bowl when the fast bowlers are tired.
Yeah.
Mitchell Marsh can bowl as a strike weapon, even if Hazelwood's on the field.
Yeah.
The fact he wasn't on the field, it's either what they're telling us around his fitness is not true,
yeah,
Or I don't understand why we're not using him as a wicket taker.
No, neither do I, because at the moment he's in as a pure batsman, really, and he's not scoring runs like a number 5 or 6 or
Number
whatever he is.
6 in Australian conditions, number 6 needs to be an all-rounder.
Yeah,
you
but he's
need
not
to do both.
But he's not being an all-rounder at the moment because he's not bowling enough to be
fit,
warranting one.
If he's fit, he needs to be bowling. Like if
100%.
I'm Mitch Marsh, I'm saying to Paddy, skipper, give me the ball. Like let me try and get a breakthrough. Let me try and get the top order. Or if we're doing that, okay, let me try and get the tail out. Give me a go.
And then finally, player of the match. Who did you say? Steve Smith if he's scoring a double
If he's
100.
getting a double 100 and Australia's winning, I've got to give it to
Gonna
Smitty.
go Steve Smith.
Yeah. Oh, I've been wrong so many times. It's not going to be any different.
Nah, we
look,
got it.
but again, Australia go into this test match with momentum. I think they're on top, even though it's 1-1. But these 2 test matches, Melbourne and Sydney, suit India a lot more than the first 3 test matches. So Australia has their work cut out. They have to be at their best. If they've dropped Nathan McSweeney, I wish surely it can only be Sam Constas that's been selected. Can only be. So I wish him all the best. I hope he walks out there and does well, lives his dream, makes 100 on debuts. Something like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But I really feel for Nathan McSweeney. I don't think it's the right decision. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's the right decision.
I agree. Not a good Christmas present then for Constance.
Santa's come early.
That's it.
Put it that way.
That's it.
Well, thank you guys. Lots to look forward to. Oh my God. 1-1. We couldn't have asked to be in a better position going into Boxing Day Test match. I think we're all excited to see what happens. Like I say, it's, every single moment, every hour or every session of that game is going to be so important. We've seen swings and roundabouts as well, how quickly things changed in this series. I just think now as well, this is where your big players stand up. We've seen Virat Kohli do it. We've seen Steve Smith do it. This is where we've seen Bumrah do it. This is where I really think these last 2 test matches, this is where leadership and greatness shines through. So look out for the big fish in both teams.
Yep. All eyes are going to be on the MCG come next, Thursday?
Can't wait. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining us once again and enjoy the Boxing Day Test match.